Hey everyone, my name is Nick. Behind me is my 2009 Lincoln Town Car that I'm putting up for sale. So I'll go ahead and do a walk around, show you everything about the car, what I've done to it, any flaws that it may have, and let's go ahead and get started. Hey, let's go ahead and do a walk around about this car. This car was manufactured November 25th, 2008 for the 2009 model year. This car was sold out of a dealer. I think it was Watsonville, California, but it was sold to a rental car company, and I think it was around the Rochester, New York area. And as we all know with rental cars, they hardly ever stay in the place that they were purchased or sold new. They go places. I think this one, it doesn't have any service records indicating that it was in various repair facilities throughout the United States. All I know is that it was operated as a rental car for its first year of life, and after that it was eventually picked up by a California Ford Lincoln Mercury dealer around the San Jose area, and it was sold to somebody there as certified pre-owned who had it up until the point that they surrendered ownership off to the auction house. So I purchased this vehicle at auction and have had this vehicle now since the beginning of January. I have put maybe 1,500 miles on this vehicle, and I've accomplished everything I wanted to in terms of getting it ready to go up to my standards, so it can actually be honestly sold with confidence. So I think at this point I can at least talk about some of the things about this car. So we'll start back here and show where any kind of issues may be. I have my yardstick like my mom or dad might have used on me when I was a kid. I'm kidding. No, they would not have done that. So there's a tiniest little mark in the wood's not going to hurt anything. There's a tiny little mark right there, in case that matters. Down this panel here, there's a little bit of a something right there. And again, I've compounded and polished this paintwork, put a coating of wax on it. I can't do any more. I can't take the paint down any further, so without risk of damaging. So again, we have a little mark there, and if I remember correctly, that's just dirt. There was a little ding. It's so hard to tell, but there's a little ding right here on the crest. Tiniest little chip right there. And looking up here, just a very superficial scuff right here. Some superficial scuffs there. Little chip there. Little chip there. It just looks like stuff from people's hands getting in and out of the car. You can see something right here. Again, I couldn't take this out any, so somebody grazed against something. There's some very superficial, tiniest little nick chip things in the door. I'm not sure what it's from. There's also, it's going to be really hard to tell, and I'm not sure the camera's going to show it, but there's like some etching here, and I'm afraid this is like from bird poop at some point. So just an FYI there. Over here, I tried to get these out, and I don't know what it is. It just would not. Some of these things right here, these little things in the door, and you can just barely, if I remember correctly, can't even really feel them with your nail, but it's something dripped down in this area here. So there's a few of those around. Is there anything else down low on these doors? I don't really think so. No, I don't think so. And of course over here, yeah, there's not really anything on the tops of the doors or anything like that. There's a little, tiniest little chip right there. Tiny. There's some very minor chips right there. Got some chips right there and right there. Alright, so moving along here. On the hood, I don't really see anything along the hood. Hood looks pretty clean, just little chip stuff. See some kind of etching right there, but the hood's super presentable. Gotta remember, this thing's 99,000 miles for an '09. And looking down low, no real, see, I didn't do a very good job cleaning in this lip area here. There's the tiniest little area of bug guts. I'm shocked, even the little fog light delete panels are there. Usually those are gone. I can't believe somebody took the time to put those on. Headlight lenses, those are nice and clean and clear, so those look good. Grill looks nice. This emblem I did put on there using one I found through one of the town car specific groups. Guy there had them listed, purchased them through eBay, and I think it looks great. The old one was still there, it was just kind of faded. That freshens it up front. And looking down the side here, this is where you can tell, I'm not sure if it's going to show, just the paintwork, some of this bodywork, paintwork here. It's not great. You can even kind of feel it. I think the pinstripe is nice, but unfortunately, not sure what happened here. I was told by somebody in the trades that this is a result of something happening with the sanding process and the primer. Mirror looks nice and clean. I don't see any real scuffs or chips or anything, so that's nice. I'm guessing that because of just kind of the wear on this car, this thing was more of a city driver, because this thing should have a lot more pecks and chips and stuff up front. It just doesn't. So I think this was more an in-town cruiser. It wasn't doing a long distance highway cruising. And you can kind of see some of the texture there. It's not 100%, and same on the roof. The roof seems kind of opaque in places. And there's a small ding right there. Not sure if it picks out in it. Windshield, there's tiniest little impressions from rocks, but there's no cracks or chips or anything like that. So anyways, let's go back around to the other side of the car. Is there anything else to note looking down the side here? Looks like there's a tiny, maybe a tiny little impression right there. It's not, I wouldn't call it a door ding, it just looks like a tiny impression, so I'm not sure about that. You can again see on this door here, there's more of that texture kind of in the, I don't know, the clear, the paint. Tiny little chip there, right there. If I remember right, I saw something. Yeah, saw this here too. Not sure, it didn't come out with buffing. Is there anything else along here? Little something right there. Tiny little something there, which I just talked about there, there, and there. You can see right in that spot's had a bit of body work there. On the trunk lid, is there really much to report, except to me this looks like maybe tree sap or some kind of berry stain or bird poop. I'm taking a guess that maybe this car was parked under a tree, just based on, because you wouldn't normally just see this out in the open. Maybe it was parked under a lamppost all the time and the bird was unfortunately using the car. So you see these kind of things here. I've compounded and polished these, and unfortunately the intensity of them is much less, but unfortunately they are there. So not much to be said otherwise on at least this side here. Trunk trim is in nice shape, just tiny little ripples here. there any over here? One little ripple. Yeah, same thing. Just little ripples there and a little mark there. Logo still looks pretty nice for something that's, gosh, what is this, 15 years old? Oh, not, yeah. Wow. Anything else to note here? I don't really see anything else. I did put in a new bulb up here because that one was burned out. No ripples in the chrome. So otherwise, I think that's at least addresses anything about the aesthetics outside. Tires, unfortunately don't have my tire depth gauge with me, but hopefully you can kind of tell here. All tires are in this same condition. They're well over half. I would describe them maybe in around 7 to 8 30-second tread depth. And they're all reasonably date coded, 29th week of 21. The wheels themselves they're in nice shape. No peeling in the pockets here or on the fascia. This one's actually looks pretty nice. About this one here. This one is date coded 29-21. Again, the pockets all look nice. So that's good. Any real damage to note on the outside of this? Nope. Don't see anything. What about on this side? Get over here. There's a little mark there. No, I don't really see anything else. There's the tiniest little spot of corrosion right there. But that's really not too bad. Just the tiniest bit right on the lip edge. So not too bad at all. Still looks nice. Center caps are on. And looking over here, this one here, this one's got the tiniest little ripples right on the edge there. Right on the edge there, you can see looks like somebody found a curb because there's some marks on the edge here and here. But it's not like the pockets are all peeling. For some reason this center cap's all stuffed on the edge, but oh well. Again, this tire is date coded. Did I get this date code here? 25th week of 20. And again, plenty of good tread in there. I don't think I got the date code up here. 43rd week of 19. It's so hard to capture this. I couldn't find my depth gauge. So I think that's pretty much it for around out here. And yeah. So from an underneath perspective, so you can see how things look here. You can see under here things are very nice, very clean. It's definitely enjoyed a nice salt-free diet in its life. Nice and clean. Nice. About over here. Oh yeah. These nice clean rockers, nice frame. Nice and clean. Back in the diff area. Nice and clean. So, I think I've covered pretty much everything I can on the exterior. I need to go find some shade and get some water here because it's a little warm. I'll be back in a few. Okay, so looking under the hood on this town car, this car during its warranty period as a certified pre-owned vehicle, it received an air conditioning compressor at around 60,000 miles, if memory serves correctly, as it was leaking. So that part is in obviously much newer condition than the rest of the car. So that's a nice plus. Otherwise, this car had a lot of good maintenance over the years. Prior owner kept up with actually doing services and flushes on stuff like brake fluid, power steering fluid, transmission fluid. Of course, regular oil changes, differential fluid. A lot of good service has happened on this car under the hood over the years. Some things were missed, but I think I've made it right at this point. So let's talk about things that I've done as well as the prior owner has done in recent time. The intake manifold was replaced, and it's the ATP style that has the deeper runners on it, so you don't really lose any performance. The dormant intake, you lose something like 15, 17 horsepower and some amount of torque. So that was a nice plus to see under the hood. Otherwise, under their ownership, they did have at least, well, they had a battery done. Believe they also did something to do, that's right, the front brakes were done as well on this. So definitely nice to see that. The rear brakes are still original on this car. And things that I've actually had to do during my time with this car under the hood, I did put in an orifice tube because at the time I was replacing these service ports, which are common to leak on these cars. And after replacing that, I took the orifice out. I replaced it. They don't even cost $1. So just put a new one in so it properly regulates the R134A traveling through the system. I also unfortunately found out there was a tiniest little wet spot on the condenser, so I also replaced the condenser on this car. The last thing I noticed here, conveniently, just before I figured I'm about ready to sell this vehicle, I noticed the pulley bearing for the air conditioning system, what the belt is turning, it had a gravelly sound when it was hot. So I ordered a replacement pulley from Ford and installed that. It also has a new AC low side pressure switch. This is what cycles the compressor on and off to give you the air conditioning. I did a coolant flush on this. I actually found a few loose intake bolts. It wasn't leaking, but when I was checking torque, I found, I think, 4 or 5 of them. I replaced this, which this is hard to find because I think Ford stopped making it. It used to be made out of rubber, and Ford updated it to this hardline plastic, so that'll never be a problem. The belt tensioner, the belt, and the idler were all original, so I replaced those. I put on another alternator on this car because the original one actually turned on the alternator light. I've never had that before on a car. So that got replaced. Also had to put on a starter on this car as well. And I've noticed that with some of these 2008 and up, 9 and up, it's not the first time I've had to deal with a starter on these. I don't know if something changed with their quality control or something. Otherwise, I did an oil change. I did all 8 spark plugs because they still had the green tip on them, which indicates they are original. I went ahead and did another brake flush because the last one I think had been years. You can see, dated it and put the mileage on when I did the oil change. Was there anything else under here? The valve covers surprisingly are dry. Usually on the 2007 and newer by this mileage, you start noticing that the valve covers are starting to seep, and these are dry. Usually you can tell, you just look down here at the lip on the edge of the head and you'll see that, but these are dry. No oil leaks, so that's quite the plus. Put in a new drain plug on this. Somebody had put on some junk from Dorman, and they don't cost anything at Ford, so no big deal there. This does have the latest and greatest throttle body, which means you have the latest TP sensor, throttle position sensor. Ford went through like 3 or 4 revisions on the electric throttle body position sensor where they finally had one that, well, worked. What else happened under the hood here? Those coils were there, so I can't claim fame to those. I put in an air filter, put in a fuel filter. I also put in 2 bags in the back. The original ones were still there, but oh my gosh, they were so dried out. But this car can sit for weeks and there's never an issue back here. Anything else I did back here? Oh yeah, that's right. I did a pinion seal. As I noticed, it had been weeping out for a while, and I was actually quite concerned when I first picked it up, like, oh boy, somebody ran it low. But no, they actually had kept up with this, kept filling it up, even though the pinion was leaking out. So I put on a pinion seal, and torqued it to proper spec. I've driven it 1,500 miles and nothing, no leaks, zero. So very happy with that. I did put in an axle shaft seal on this side, as the seal, for whatever reason, was just a little, it didn't quite have the rubberiness it should have, and it was starting to get a little bit damp there. So that side got a new seal. The bearing was fine, so was the axle shaft. Anything else in the back here? Had to put in bulbs on both of these lenses. Is only one worked there at night. I can't remember now, it's been months. Also lubricated the trunk hinges so it doesn't sound like you're entering the Munsters home with squeaky doors. All the hinges and latches and window tracks and stuff, they've all been lubricated so everything closes like butter. The door hinge is nice and tight. There's no rocking in it so it doesn't sag and crack the bushing. Speaking of bushings, all the door striker bushings are there. There's the VIN label. And there's this express code thing. I don't know if this is for like theft of body parts, but they're kind of hard to run with these doors. They weigh a ton. They're like 70 pounds. Anything else to note under the hood? I lubricated the latch. You don't need to lubricate the hinges. They're usually fine. I think that's pretty much it. I put the battery hold down ends because I realized that Pennsylvania requires that as part of your inspection. The battery has to be held down, so this is now not going anywhere. I put in new upper control arms on this car because the bushings on the end were all dried and cracking away, so got new ones of those. The struts are fine, end links are fine, ball joint down here is fine. The upper control arm came with a new ball joint. So both sides have new upper control arms. And otherwise, there's nothing else to really service there. You already heard about the differential and the pinion and the axle shaft seal. You already heard about the filters. So I think that's pretty much it about stuff in here. Back here, I did from a perspective of water leaks, like these cars love to have. There was a TSB for these leaking water, and the water runs out of these drains here, and then it runs into the trunk. So I did the seal, put a new butyl seal along the edge here. That stopped that. And again, you can see it's nice and quiet. Double click, down it goes. Open it up. No squeaking, no nonsense, nothing. So that's nice. Oh, I forgot to show here. It does have the spare here. There's the jack. I did put air in this so it doesn't have 2 PSI like they usually seem to have. The forgotten wheel to check. If you wanted to add in your full size, you could. There's a hook right under the carpet here. Kind of see it peeking out. You get a hook, pop her in, and you can hook your spare up there. I did retape the harness and the clip to hold it over there. Clips and doodads are here. And they're home. Lights are working. That works. Here's your air ride switch. Not much else to say there. Fuel door area. E85 cap, because all 09 and newer town car, Crown Vics and Grand Marquis, they all have flex fuel. So you have an E85 cap. That close? Yeah, it did. Except I did seal up the hood release grommet, cleaned out the cowling and the drains. I also did the fresh air intake seal. I used a rubber seal, so because with higher mileage cars, it's more likely you're gonna have to do some kind of servicing on stuff back here. It's easier if it's a gasket here, because then you just take it off. You don't have to lay any new sealant or anything. And I also did a chrome dress-up kit using that company that Anthony has recommended at Specialty Motor Cars, a company that is in Massachusetts, and they have this chrome dress-up kit that adds chrome down the rockers and the pillars, which I think that really works well on this dark blue. I think it looks really presentable, really nice. Makes it look less like you just picked it up at Hertz Rent-A-Car or something. Okay, looking inside the car here, you can typical interior door panel, pull straps in nice shapes, not all nicked up, chewed up, flopping in the breeze. All the window switches are not all chowdered up from people's fingernails. I did put in the older style lock switches. The 09 to 11 switches, they like to break off and very easily. These old ones from 03 to 8, you hardly have issues on them. So both of these were replaced, as you can see there, and you can see there. Mirror switch, this is a Signature Limited, giving you heated seats with memory. So I think that's pretty much it on this door panel. You do have your typical armrest here. I did put the nubbers back in so it doesn't rattle so much. Fuel door release, trunk release. I think that's pretty much it to talk about there. So let's hop inside the car. Is this mark here on the carpet? And I have tried everything. I'm not sure what it is. I've tried everything from scrub brushes. I could not get that little mark out. And it's not a heel mark where it dug in. It's something, it's something that is just embedded into the fibers of the carpet, and I can't get it out. So unfortunately, it's going to stay on the floor mat. And of course, driver floor mats usually have a heel mark or they're worn through, and this one's not really. So unfortunately, it's going to stay, but just want to make sure that was known. This thing does not have a check engine light or any other lights on specifically. I believe if I go under the IM, the monitor, as you guys can see here, pass, 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 pass. There's no such thing as heated catalyst test on this car. EVAP passed. Secondary air not applicable. Doesn't do AC. Oxygen sensor pass. Heater circuit okay, and EGR, they all pass. So this thing is ready for any state in the United States, and it will pass its emissions no problem, and its safety no problem, because when I did the upper control arms, I had an alignment done and the ball joints were fine, so were all the shocks and struts. So there should be no concern of a safety or an emission test at all. It should pass with flying colors. Just wanted to make sure that was shown too. Okay, so here we are inside the car. You can see it's currently 85 degrees outside. It's around 92, 93, so it's pretty warm. Do have 2 keys for the car, 2 clickers. They both work, but I'm starting this up to get some air going. Turn down this blower fan so you can actually hear what's going on. So, you can see on the dash, 99,751. Brake lights on because I have the e-brake on. Take it off, turns off. So let's look at condition of the inside here for right now. So you've already seen about the door panel. Headlight switch, typical stuff. To me, this feels like somebody was using this often instead of using automatic mode. I have no idea why. This is some kind of friction anti-rattle tape stuff. I'm guessing this was put on by the dealer because there was a complaint about squeaks, which I think I may have seen in a TSB or something. This is the dimmer control. Here's your foot pedals. You can hear them moving, traction button. So nothing too much of excitement here. There's some various little marks here from usage over time. I don't think there was anything too much. Sometimes you find these wheels, and you can see the mileage here, that they're just absolute garbage. This one's okay. I've certainly seen nicer wheels at 100K, but this is far from junk. You can see that I'm guessing they drove like this going down the road instead of being a little more gentle with it. That certainly doesn't change how this operates or affects anything. You can just see it's got little marks here and there. And hearing that just reminded me I did put on a new power steering pressure switch because I know those like to blow out. Over here on the shifter, you can see there's a little bit of wear here on the OD button. At least the indicator, but you can see it turns on and off still, so that's fine. Shifter boot, it's got a tiny little tear here, but if I put my foot in the brake, put it in drive, suddenly you don't see it anymore, so who cares? Looking across the dash here, you can see the air conditioning is working nicely. 93 degrees, it's blowing out 52 at the vents, so that's working quite well. Did put a clock light in. did put a headlight switch bulb in, so both of those bulbs works. Radio, you can even see the CD changer in this thing works. Sounds like Michael Jackson. So that works. Climate control self-test. Oh yeah, I completely forgot. Right after I picked it up, it had, unfortunately, the code for controlling the airflow between defrost and floor. So that means your dashboard has to come out. So I've taken the dash out of this car and I put in all new blend door actuators, all 5 of them, and to prove that they work, we'll run self-test right now, which means I'm not having air conditioning for at least a moment. Hopefully it'll finish its test up here quickly. Come on. You work just fine. Come on, 8. Yeah, see, so as you can see, everything works. Off, on, bring the cool air. Whoa, okay. Calm down, calm down. So this works, that works, that works, that works. You can just go through all these buttons here, trip. I just filled it up with gas. You could do system check. Not sure it's going to provide much of any interest here. Yeah, so everything works here. Go away. No. There. Anything else over here? This is your airbag off in the seat. If somebody's sitting there unbuckled, then turn it off. Have your 2 ashtray plug lighter thing. You got one there. Got one down here. Out of sight. Armrest. Wallets in here. You got your coin holder. Armrest. Got all your little nubbers. And like I was saying, the switch here, that works. And it's power seat. Crushing my arm. Heated seat works, which I just remembered I didn't demonstrate that over here. Heated seat works. Light stays on. These work here. I can turn this back on. As you can see, volume's going down. I can hit the next button, or I can control the temperature here, and that works too. Demonstrate the cruise later. I do have the seat belts here, so those are all in place. Lumbar controls. Visors. Obviously got a visor here. Lincoln was cheaping. They put one light in. I forget what year they did that. But the same thing goes over here. Have your assist handle for getting in and out. Lights. This auto dimming mirror. Home link, nothing's programmed to it. No surprise. Hazard switch. Anything else to note? I really don't think there is. Oh, there is something. I forgot to mention the main point that makes this car unique. So this is the Marti report on this car. And you can see here, like I was saying, it was ordered for a fleet. It was a rental car. It only has 2 options, which is the plate bracket and the California emission system. But the thing that caught my eye was that 8. So out of all the dark blue 2009s they made 300 of all the signature limiteds, because they made only 1 engine trans combo. So 10,978 signature limiteds were made. Only 300 of them were dark blue, and of those, only 8 had this dark charcoal black leather interior. So that's pretty rare. And I knew when I saw this car, I'd never seen that before. So pretty neat to see that the glove box, the original owner's manual pouch thing was disintegrating, falling apart. So that went to the trash, but you still have your owner's manuals, the books and stuff that nobody reads. It's there if you care. Back here, you can see you do have power locks that are working. You do have a window that that goes up and down. Forget if I demonstrated this one. And the lock that works there. This one here. And back there. So you can see there, that works. And the mirrors do adjust here, as you can see. They're going up, down, and around. And the same over there. They're going up, down, and around, so no problem there. Vents are all in place. And I guess the only other thing to note about the back seat, it looks like maybe kid seats were in here. You can kind of see the rub marks in the leather. Those are not coming out. And it also, unfortunately, looks like there were a couple places where I don't know what that is. To me, that looks like maybe a cigarette burn at some point, probably during its rental life, that nobody ever did anything to fix. I'm not sure what that is. It's not great looking. There's some drag marks on the leather. So, unfortunately, there's a few marks on the back seat. All right, let's go for a ride. It's already down to 40 degrees at 93, just sitting here idling. I love when you can make air conditioning work that well, you know you're going to be comfortable in the car. That is for sure. So let's go ahead and go for a ride. Demonstrate this car going down the city speeds as well as on the interstate here. And talk some more about it. So again, this car I've driven it about 1,500 miles or so over the course of how many months now? 6, maybe 7 months or so. And I've had really good luck with it. I've been able to drive this thing all around South Carolina. It's also gone all the way down to Orlando, Florida. It did perfectly fine, and air conditioning was nice and cold, so it's what you want when you are visiting the sunshine state of Florida. I'm trying to think if there was anything else to notate that may have been done on this car, but as usual, these cars, once you get them dialed in properly, they're going to give you plenty of great service. I apologize, I'm going into the sun here, so it's very hard to see. I know. I apologize. We'll be on the interstate in a moment here, and we'll go do a quick drive on that. Here we are doing 30. Put it to the floor. Getting on the interstate. See, it has no problem getting up to speed, even with its California emissions. Does just fine. OD off works, it'll downshift, lock up the converter, etc. So that works just fine. So you can see here I'm going up an incline. There's no slipping, nothing, zero. Everything works, even the cruise. You can increase it, decrease it, hit the brakes, hit resume. That works too, or just turn it off. No problems with the button. Rolling down the interstate, doing about 40 degrees out of the vents. It's dropped a little bit in temperature to 91. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me through Facebook Marketplace, and we can figure out a way to discuss any of your questions or concerns otherwise. And again, going down the road just fine.